It's the Two Gems Podcast.
Welcome back to the Two Gems Podcast. This is episode 3. I'm Sheridan.
And I am Matthew, Mackay, Smith, David, no one knows.
Matt, you celebrated a big birthday this weekend. On the long weekend.
Oh my God.
How was it?
It was good. Life's good right now. It was my 37th birthday. Crazy. Time's flying.
When Matt and I first met, he was 28. And I used to call him Gramps.
You used to call me Gramps at 28.
I know.
That's crazy.
It is crazy to think of.
I know.
Because I honestly thought you were kind of old then in my mind.
I know.
Because I was 24. I'm like,
Well,
28?
I
That's
always
almost
had an
30.
old soul.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things, like even at 28, it was like I had been in a couple long relationships and like just kind of always had this old energy to me. And
Well, now
here
that
I am,
you
like,
say,
I'm like younger now.
well, now that you say that, that's probably a lot of why I called you Gramps, is because you were a bit of an old soul, and I thought you were just an old man.
I told you when you hit 28, I was getting you a walker. I was
know.
like, when you hit the age that I am, that you're making fun of me for being old,
I know.
you're getting a walker, babe.
I don't have a walker yet.
Yeah.
We had fun this weekend, though.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, we stayed at the Westin. We did a little night at the Westin, and then we went down and saw some homies down at Gahan House. I always forget the name of that place.
Why?
It's so good, though. I don't know.
Weird.
I always forget Gahan. It's just a weird word.
It is.
It was good, though.
It was
It's a nice
really
little,
great.
nice little break up from the monotony and our first little getaway since the Dominican trip, which was
Yeah.
nice.
I do always find, though, that one night seems so rushed.
It is. You're in, you're out.
You're in, you're out, and then you're back home. And it's like it never happened almost. But it happened because I felt hungover
Yeah.
after 4 or 5 drinks.
Yeah.
I woke up feeling like shit, having to shit, needing, like I just felt horrible.
No, this is what happens on your 37th birthday.
What is
you
up
you
with
come back
that?
to the hotel room after a night out, a few drinks. Sheridan looks at me and she's like, "So, should we have sex?" I looked at my phone and I was like, "I'm good."
Yeah. No, but also when we finished our restaurant night, it was 9:30.
Is that what time it was?
Yes, and Kamiko and Scott were like, "Let's go for another drink." And in my head, I'm like, 9:30? It's late. I'm gonna go back and read my book.
Go back, watch some HGTV.
And then we pushed it to 10:45. I'm like, this is exhausting.
It's a pointless extra drink.
Yeah.
Went down to Moxie's, had one more. I was like, "Oh my God."
I know.
And Kamiko thinks she got food poisoning, so
Yes.
that happened.
Yeah.
She's sitting over there on the edge of the booth, like
I
shivering
know.
and stuff.
I
Kamiko,
know.
are you okay?
Yeah, she feels a lot better though, so that's good.
Scott's a savage though.
I
He
know.
just wants to stay out. You can
Yeah.
see like his
He loves
energy
to
is
party.
like, why are we not staying out till 4
I
a.m.?
know. But isn't getting older awesome?
It is awesome.
I was nervous when I was, I don't know, in my when I was 18, 19. I remember thinking 30 is going to be old.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, these are the best years so far. Remember when we went to IHOP? And there was an old man and he just ripped one as he was walking by. Do you remember that?
Guy just literally walks by our booth, and the whole time he passed our booth,
Yeah,
just
yeah. And we looked at each other and I was like, this isn't correct. He didn't care at all.
no
Just-
fucks whatsoever. That's the first F-bomb I've laid on this show.
We'll bleep it out.
No, we won't.
Okay.
We're gonna let her ride.
The kids won't be watching this.
No, and then I ended up in the washroom with him
Yeah.
at the same time, and he said something to me. He said something like, what did he say? He had some line. He was like, "Life's good, eh, bud?" or something like that. It was like some random little
great.
line. It was awesome. Like, this guy's the man.
Yeah, he absolutely was the man. So,
But yeah, you said life's good in your 30s, and you know what? Maybe it's not for everybody, but I do feel like your 20s. Your 20s, like you're on a mission to kind of prove yourself, like in the workforce and to your partner and everything. Like you have to be so hungry in your 20s. And I find like in your 30s, like you start getting the odd little gray hair in your beard. I mean, my hair is
saw my
almost
hair.
receded right off. And like, I don't know where I'm at in my life right now. Like I'm almost 40, and like I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really like young at heart, and I'm very content with my surroundings. Like with my partner, like I love you very much, and that's amazing. And like I look at our kids, and they're all awesome. You know, they go through their stuff, but I mean, I'm really proud of all 3 of our children, and like with my career right now and my business partner Tim, like I just feel like life's good right now. Like almost like too good sometimes. Like I'm just like
just waiting for the ball to drop a little bit.
like I don't want to put that energy out there, but I'm just like, how is my life this fire? I don't even understand it.
But let's keep in mind that when we first got together, our life was not that fire. Even like beyond us getting together and having a great relationship, then we moved into your dad's place, and we were struggling to figure out how we were going to be able to afford rent. There was a lot of things that we struggled with.
Absolutely.
And we deserve to be where we are now. And we've worked really hard for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't forget about those things.
I know.
Because
You're right.
sometimes you do forget. You're in this great place, and then you have to think back and be like, you know what? We came from something, obviously,
Yeah.
and we worked really hard to get to where we're at.
Well, I think sometimes it's, without getting too deep down this rabbit hole, it's like you just look around like the state of the world right now, and like homelessness in Halifax just being such a hot topic right now, and like inflation and interest rate rising and stuff. Like you look around at some of your peers, and like they're struggling so hard right now.
Yeah.
And just the fact that like life is just going so well for us, like sometimes you're just like, what did I do to deserve this?
Yeah.
As a like, and I know I work my ass off. Like I'm up every morning at 4 a.m. down here grinding.
Yeah.
Every night when the kids go to bed, I work my ass off all night. But like, who's to say that like, I don't know, Johnny on the side of the road living in a tent wouldn't have that same work ethic if he had the opportunities that we have. So like, I don't know, I just feel like really fortunate sometimes.
You
I'm
just need
like,
to humble yourself.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
why is our life so good?
Right.
I don't know, man. Like the universe like has just been really kind to us.
Yes.
And it's great.
It has.
Like we have 3 kids that were born with all their fingers and toes
Yeah.
and good energy to them, and you know they're all, like excitable kids and enthusiastic and everything. And I know they feed off us, but I'm just like I don't believe in God, but sometimes I look at the sky and I'm like, why
Yeah.
were we blessed? Anyway, I love you. No, I feel good right now. I'm 37.
Okay, it's a
and
good birthday.
Life's good, you know.
Lots
It
of
is.
reflection.
It is.
Yeah.
And you know me, I reflect a lot. And every
do.
time my birthday comes around, like I get that little spike of reflection. I'm like,
Yeah.
another year, another loop around the sun,
Yeah.
and I'm just
And
like,
you're still here.
wow.
Yeah.
Like, God, I feel blessed and
Yeah.
good right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Great.
I'm gonna knock on this wood in front of me right now. I feel good.
It's
Life's
funny
good.
because we were just talking about life and how great our lives are and how lucky we are and how fortunate we feel. And I have a topic written down here of, if you weren't with me, where would you be? And that kind of
Ooh, that's a good one.
it is, and it kind of relates to what we were just talking about in our lives. And like, where do you think
I want to put that on you first. Where would you be without me?
it's
think
really
about that. Where would you be?
It's really tough to say because you came into my life at a very pivotal, important time. And I've said this to you before, and I'm not sure I would have been able to distance myself from my past had you not come into my life at that point.
Yeah.
So
what was your past? Like distance yourself
like with
from-
my ex,
Yeah.
and whether I would have been able to actually let go of that and move on, or whether I would have clung on just because of all of the, anyway, however that
Do you
went
want to
down.
enlighten the people that don't know? Like you
Well,
like
not really. I
just
just
a little bit. I mean, they might think that your past relationship was
rainbows
absolutely
and
incre-
butterflies. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, it sure was, I guess, at some points,
Yeah,
but
of
there was a
course.
lot of bad moments
Yeah.
between my relationship, and I think that I clung on to it. It was very toxic, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really want to get into too much detail about it, but I just think that
The people need
I know,
answers. What?
I know, but I was gonna say, had
Yeah, you don't
I
wanna be
not
throwing people under
had
the
I
bus,
not messaged you that night, who knows where I would be.
Yeah.
Let's just say that hypothetically I would have moved along and moved on and done my own thing. I think that I would have taken my teaching career and ran with it. And I think I would have gone somewhere like overseas or
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
You would have left Canada, you think?
100%. Even at the time I was
Somewhere
looking.
hot.
Yeah, because in my mind, I truly feel like I was supposed to be born in the Caribbean. I'm telling you, like this.
That's good to know. Okay.
No, but I'm serious. Like, I am an island girl. I'm sure of this. Somehow in my
She's an
other
island
life,
girl.
in my other life, that was meant for me. So in my mind, I was always thinking when I was in teaching, because they used to have these like conferences where other people would come and they would explain to you the process of how you can apply and then you can teach abroad. And it was always my plan, honestly, until I met you. I was thinking this is a perfect time for me to kind of get away from my situation and to move on and to go somewhere far away, because I didn't think I'd ever be able to get out of it unless I left. And I was thinking in my head, like, I'm going to go live in Barbados, or I'm going to go to the Bahamas or something and teach there.
Yeah.
And I figured that's probably how my life would have unfolded. I would have met somebody there and like stayed in the islands. But we do have a dream of someday hopefully owning a place for, right? You're like, do we?
What?
Move
Yes,
and,
yeah.
and
We've talked
having
about
that
this.
that would be a dream, obviously, to be able to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like that's something meant for me. So that's probably what I would have been doing, I think,
So you would have probably left Canada, gone overseas somewhere hot, and been a teacher.
Yeah, and then whether I met somebody
Who would
there.
your partner have been?
How am I supposed
I don't
to
know.
know?
Just fantasize about it. Rick Ross? You would have found your way to slither into Rick Ross's life.
I don't
doing
know.
the big old belly rubs.
I honestly
love that man.
I do love Rick Ross, but I have no.
That's why those Twinkies they work for me.
I have truly no idea who I would have ended up with, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool to think of, I guess, in a weird roundabout way.
I feel like you would have ended up with one of those men with like a curly mustache, like an artiste maybe. Like
Who knows?
Crazy,
really?
eh?
It is
because we said on the last episode, I think, how there was like 1 million people you could be with, and then I interjected and I was like, there's more than 1 million. Like,
well, it's just crazy to think that you could have totally different. You could have a totally different life than the one that you pick based on the decisions that you make. Yeah. Totally different. Had I not messaged you that night, like, where would you be? Do you think?
Well, and you have fate tattooed on your body somewhere, don't you?
Yeah, my first tattoo ever. I got that when I was 15.
Fate
or 16.
You believed in fate at 16.
It was to the point where I was at high school. Like, I was in high school, maybe 11 or 12, and I was writing it, like doodling it down because I drew it myself. And then I went in and I was like, this is how I want it. And it's
the things you find out.
And it's so ugly, but I'll never put anything over because it's my very first tattoo.
Does it have an infinity sign worked in?
No, it has like an E, and then it has like a heart around the E tied in.
That's what it is. yeah. But it, like, you know, it is interesting to think that if you didn't message me that night, like going down our family tree, like thinking that Kai and Theo and Sage wouldn't exist. And like, what if Kai ends up being like the first female prime minister or something? It's like, had we not met, like how that ripples through time and changes everything. Like you look at our kids' relationships with people, those never would have existed, and the impacts that they'll have on people's lives and everything. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't, you know, it's just crazy to think about that.
It's funny you say that because Kai, the other day, I was actually talking about relationships. I don't know why, in the van, and I was saying, you know, that we came together, and she's like, well, had you not met Daddy, I would have had a different dad. And I remember thinking that when I was a kid, like with my mom, I'm like, imagine if I had different parents. I'm like, Kai, it doesn't work that way. Like just mommy and daddy made you especially.
Yeah, from scratch.
I know, but in her, that's what we used to tell her for so long.
Kai's like, so what is scratch?
Yeah.
When you made me from scratch, like, well, you're not old enough yet.
That worked for a very long time. Like, how did you make me? And we'd say, we made you from scratch. And then one time she's like, but what is scratch?
Well, I lightly scratched your mother's back.
Yeah, exactly.
Should we ding the KY up again? No.
So you didn't answer. Where do you think you'd be?
I think I would be very wealthy. No, I'm serious though. Like I think that who knows though? Maybe I would have just found another woman and had kids right away. I
truly
don't know.
believe you would have.
Yeah, I'm a dad. I'm a dad at heart.
Yeah.
Old
and
soul.
you
dad.
love relationships and being with a woman and having kids around. But if you didn't, you're saying that you think you would have just hustled.
Well, yeah, I mean, when the only reason that I don't work 20 hours a day is because of you and the kids. Yeah. Like I have to remind myself to stop and like take a breath of fresh air and like spend time with the children and stuff. Otherwise, like I love what I do so much that's what brings me joy.
How lucky
like you know that. Like when I go out four-wheeling, I come home and start making content around it, and like that has manifested into
immediately.
It's manifested into monetary gain and not just that, but like personal enjoyment. Like I really love what I do, so like nothing stops me from working. I was always that way.
I think you've always thought of things as a monetary gain a little bit.
Yeah.
Even when you were in high school selling shirts to your friends or mixtapes or what have you. Always.
I'm obsessed. It's not even obsessed with the money. Like it's not like I sit there and look at our bank account and I'm like, yeah. I mean
or
maybe
like,
I do a little bit. But no! Sheridan went back to the mall again. No, but I love obtaining money. And it's not even about just looking at the graph. It's like the money to me is like a benchmark. I don't want to say a benchmark for success, but more like when you put a reel up or something and it does really well and those endorphins get popping and like it's being shared. It's like there's like a little bit of gratification there that like not even that your stuff was accepted, but that like it resonated well with people. And to me, like when I put out new packaging for Alexander Keith's, let's say, and I see like that dude that was walking down the road carrying the case of beer the other day that I designed, it's like there's just a really good feeling about that like I've put something out there and people love it and enjoy it and embrace it and then buy it. and then that turns into monetary gain for my clients, or our clients, I should say, and monetary gain for me and my family and you and everything. There's just something really cool about it. I'm beating around the bush here, but I think it's really neat that what I do for a living has harbored us a great life and gives me a lot of satisfaction. Like so anyway, all this to say that like if we weren't together, I would be doing the same thing. Where in the world, I don't know.
New York.
Like I love New York so much. You know that. Oh my God, I love New York. Like we can get it. That's probably a whole other episode. But like my first trip to New York, I hugged Cameron. Like if anyone knows who Cameron is, the guy's the friggin' man. I got a hug from Cameron. I've got photo evidence that I had my arm around Static Selecta, who's one of my favorite producers. Yeah. Like here I am rubbing shoulders with one of my favorite producers in the entire world, with your brother. I went through all of Harlem and got pictures at like in Queensbridge of the Nos mural and the big, like I just feel like had I been born in New York City, that like I'd be like hanging out with Diddy or something. Like I feel like I would have manifested like hanging with Diddy and stuff. Like there's just so many opportunities in that city. So maybe that's what I'm gonna say. If you and I didn't end up together, I think I would have landed in New York and maybe gotten like a cool little like bachelor kind of condo vibe going.
Cool.
Had like easels up,
that sounds
and paint
great.
and everything.
Do it up.
Like, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Why am I here?
Yeah. Takes off. All right.
No.
Zoom.
I'm quite content with my life right now. Even though I've never hung out with Diddy.
This is completely off topic, but looking at our notes, it's reminding me of this whole other thing we can get into. And we wrote down the story of us down at Bicycle Thief and how you said the girl was a 13 in the white pants.
What was that? I don't refresh my memory.
Okay, so Matt, we always say like we've always done this ridiculous scale of people of like rating them.
Everyone does it, even if you want to admit it or not. I know it's a piece of shit thing to do, but like, of course.
Of course
you do.
No, but what I'm getting into this topic is how open we've always been with one another. So we were at the Bicycle Thief and I was eating my food and you looked at me and you're like, oh man, that girl's like a 13. I'm like, excuse me? And you're like, do you see her in the white pants over there? Do you remember that?
Spills her wine.
Do you remember that?
I remember it happening, but not very well. I just remember it happening. I remember the other time driving up Spring Garden. God damn.
Yeah. Just gorgeous. I'm like, that's a bit much.
She's unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. That was it. This girl's unbelievable.
Crashes the truck.
Yeah.
Oh my
but
goodness.
That also leads into.
You thought that was gonna have a lot of meat on it? Like what?
No, I'm going into the next thing. Okay. So in terms of us always being open for a line of communication and speaking on our feelings, in terms of you saying ridiculous things about attractive people and whatever, that I really want to bring up the point talking about. Because this is something that I didn't really consider, again, going back to my past relationships and how it always felt like you were kind of trying to maybe hide things or not explain things just to make sure that everything seemed perfect, which obviously in a relationship, it's not. Things are never perfect. And I remember when you told me one time that you would think it would be a horrible idea to go to Vegas and go to a party where boobs are out all over the place. Yeah. And the very first reaction, because you're not sure what could happen and you wouldn't put yourself in that situation. And the first time you told me that, I was kind of offended. I'm like, I'm sorry. Am I not good enough for you to not concern yourself in that situation? But the more time that has passed and the more we've talked about it, I realize it's a really genuine answer. And maybe people don't necessarily want to hear it. They want to hear like, oh yeah, absolutely nothing would ever happen. But like, we're all human and mistakes can be made and things can happen. And I just remember the first time that you told me that, I was so thrown off. I was like, excuse me,
when was
what?
this? I remember this conversation.
Long time
was
ago.
It a long time
a
ago?
long
Yeah.
time ago. And I was like, je m'excuse. Like, what? Where's our trust here? But it's true. It's true. And why put yourself, and not to say that I'm sure some people do. They go and they live their best life and their wives trust them or their partner trusts them. And that's great for them. And not to say you wouldn't necessarily, like maybe you would do it, but you're very aware of yourself and that's not something that you would like to put yourself in.
Well, I've slipped up before. And we can talk about that later.
Well, no, we can't talk about that later. We need to talk about it now. Every single person's to be scrubbing trying to get to the next part.
No, but it is a good topic.
It's a big topic. Let's look at how long you've been talking for.
I'm not sitting here saying that if I jump on an airplane with Jeff and Dan to Vegas that I'm heading down there to be a man whore. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, isn't it like on their license plate? It says like what happens in Vegas state. It's like a place that like they embrace shitty behavior there. You go down there, there's
not every
scantily
spot.
clad women and
not everywhere. You've never been.
No, but I mean that's the thing. I mean it's a thing. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You go there, you do shit, you hide it from your partner, and come home.
Yeah.
Like everyone's heard that saying before. So when I was saying that, what I was saying is like you're asking for a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Like I just think that we are all human. You go down there and see a bunch of beautiful humans around and drive 300 tequila shots in you. It's like I like to think, and I'm fairly certain that nothing would ever happen, but I'm just saying that like
Matt is banned from Vegas.
Hun, we booked Vegas.
Yeah.
But
it's a total joke.
All I'm saying is like, why put yourself in a situation that like is that toxic?
Which let's just rip the Band-Aid off, because I feel like this is perfect segue into a situation that happened at the beginning of our relationship. And
my coffee
a couple people have asked before when I would answer stories on Instagram, and one of them was about trust issues or infidelity or something, and I mentioned that both of us had made mistakes in the past, but we worked through it. And when I say both of us, I know you're like, what did you do? But
what mistake did you make?
No, but I didn't really do anything. I think there was moments at the beginning of our relationship where I was having conversations with my ex that were just not meant to happen, and you found out about them, and they weren't inappropriate. It's just even keeping that line of communication was just unnecessary.
Hiding is a little weird.
And hiding it, exactly. Whereas then when you learned that we were like, you didn't care, like you were confident enough in our relationship, but that would have been perhaps the things that I had done that seemed a little bit sneaky. But again, I remember one time, like before we get into your thing, I remember one time I had a phone call with him, and then you found out about it through something else, through Facebook Messenger, because I'd said it to another friend, and you read that.
Yeah. And
I remember I was pregnant with Kaya, and you went and took a shower. And you basically just like turned.
You have such a good memory.
About this I do. Because I actually have a terrible memory. But you just passed me my computer, and you got up and left and went and took a shower. And I looked at what you saw, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be a single parent. Like Matt doesn't want to be with me anymore. This is the end of it. And the reason why I felt that way was because in my past that would have been the nature of the relationship. Would have been another breakup, another whatever. And not even just in that relationship, in really all my relationships, because they were all pretty immature and whatever. And I'll never forget, you were showering, and I just sat there, and I was like, okay, well, what is my new living arrangements? Like, I took it that seriously, because I'm like, I hid this from him.
FaceTime and Sydney.
Yeah,
Mom.
He's gonna hate. Like, he won't get over this. And then I remember you got out of the shower. We went into our little room that had no windows, and we sat and talked. And we had a mature conversation, and that was the first time that I thought. And it's funny because we'd been together for a while, but that was the first moment that I thought, wow, like, this is how this is supposed to go down.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about it. You were like, Sheridan, that's not how that works. Like, you have to tell me. We need to communicate. And it was great. And then I'm pretty sure we had sex. And I was like, what a delight. Is this a normal relationship?
Yeah.
And so I think that's about the extent of the slip-ups, beyond a couple other things. But in terms of, like, somebody else that happened for me.
Yeah.
And that's about it. But for Matt,
I have to pee really bad, so we're gonna do a pee break, and we're gonna.
He did this on purpose.
Yeah, and I'm out.
He's hoping the topic changes.
Sure, just here's the renegade. Yeah. And I'm gone, guys.
And so anyway,
no, I have no problem talking about this.
Okay.
We can lay it all out. It would be. It'd be interesting, and I think relatable probably for a lot of people, and I think that it would be good for people to realize that, like, I'm not Captain Invincible over here. Like, people see me on the internet and probably assume, from what you put out there, oh my God, this man he's a gem.
Yeah.
But like, I had a slip up, and we'll get into it in a second.
Dun.
You gotta pee. Okay. I'm back.
I was just thinking, how are we going to start this?
Well,
because it is an intense topic, and even I remember on my.
It's not that intense.
No, but it is.
Okay, so I'm going to throw us out here right now.
Can I just say
You're
something
not going to castrate me on camera.
No. But can I say something first? When somebody messaged me or posted something in their dirty little secrets, which I love, about how she had somebody that she had inappropriate conversations with at work, and then it translated into them basically harassing her. Do you remember that? Anyway, somebody wrote that, and then I had a lot of people reach out and say, this is what you should do, contact HR, all these things.
Yeah.
And she reached out to me specifically, and we started talking a little bit more, and, you know, she felt very guilty, and I explained to her how not everybody's human. Or not everybody's human.
Some of us are aliens.
But not everybody's perfect. And it's so important to remember. And before you get into whatever you want to say, I'm going to say that I thought you were perfect when we first got together, because we both knew what it was like to be cheated on.
Yeah.
We both knew what it was like to have broken hearts. We both remember how that felt. So in my mind, you could never slip up. That's what I thought. Because you're like, some people must think I'm like standing on this pedestal. Well, I did think that, because I thought Matt has been broken more than anyone here. He knows exactly how it feels. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
So it just, again, so go ahead. Whatever.
Oh my God.
No, I won't
Like,
castrate you on
if you left it at that, it would be like, this man.
No, I
is
know.
Satan.
Yeah.
Because
Unsubscribe.
yeah, YouTube subs just drop it. So, trying to think, where do you even start this?
Well, I guess you could start it by saying that we were long distance from the jump.
Yeah.
And we were doing long distance in the start of February, and I did not move down to Nova Scotia until July. Excuse me, July. And so you were by yourself in Halifax. And
Just living my best life.
Yeah, and I was in Ottawa, also doing my own thing. And I guess that's how you could start it. And just by saying...
Yeah, so I mean, like, if you watched, I guess, 2 episodes ago, did we get into that? Or last episode? I don't even remember. But anyway, I came out of a relationship where I was with a very unfaithful woman.
Right.
And I guess, like, I don't want this to turn into something where I, like, justify what I did, because you know how I feel about this. I'm like 50% on the side of, like, it wasn't as bad as certain scenarios. And then the other side of me is like, still a piece of shit move, bro. So, yeah, I mean, I was by myself for the first time in like pretty much almost a decade, like almost, give or take. I mean, we were together like 6-7 years. I always forget what the actual number is, but it was like a long time. And I was an extremely faithful man to her. Like, I never even remotely had a slip up. Like, I was a good boy. And yeah, like, that was all through my 20s, which, like, some people would consider those like some of the best years of your life. Like, I had friends that were like
doing whatever
with a woman, with another woman, with another woman, and like, you know, I'm not going to name names right now, but I have friends that were just like living it up. Like, I've heard some stories that were absolutely ridiculous, and I'm over here just like, yeah, I'm gonna spend Saturday night working, and yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Yeah. And, you know, like, I kept to myself. I was very focused on my career, and probably, like, had a life that replicated what you and I have now. Like, it was a pretty chill life. So, anyway, when... I think they call them shackles, but I mean, like, when I became, like, when I came out of that relationship...
Shackles?
You know what I mean?
What are you in right now?
When I came out of that relationship, it was like a breath of fresh air. Like, all of a sudden, I realized that there were women out there that wouldn't mind going out for a movie date with me.
Right.
Yeah, having some linguine.
I would just like to say that, I would like to say that as soon as you and her officially broke up, I swooped in a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you only really had about 2 weeks of being single, and within those 2 weeks, you were just basically a sad little man on your air mattress at your mom's place.
I was a sad man, but also one that realized, like, oh my God, there's like, sure, getting revelations here. But no, I mean, like, there was. Yeah. It like, oh my God, I don't want to sound like a douche right now, but it was just like, I was just, no, but it was just like, oh my God, there's like, I'm desirable to some humans out there. And I had no idea, because honestly, I had like blinders on, and I was just like focused on my relationship. Yeah. And so all of a sudden, people were paying attention to me, and like, people wanted to go out for drinks and various things like that. And, you know, while I was very sad and everything, it was really nice to see, like, it's comforting knowing, like, I'll get through this. There's a human waiting for me out there somewhere.
Well, it's always nice to feel wanted.
Yeah.
It is. And that's why I think, sorry, pause, but that's why I think sometimes relationships, we've always made this joke that as soon as you're out of a relationship, you've never looked better. Yeah. You start doing your hair, you're showering, you're going to the gym, or you're not going to the gym.
Guys on P90X.
You look great, right?
Yeah.
Because you care all of a sudden. You want to feel wanted.
Yeah.
So for that first moment, it's been a long time, you felt wanted. It felt nice.
Yeah. It felt really nice.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And it helps.
Yeah.
Like there is no better fix for a broken heart than like someone coming in and like stitching that bad boy back together. It's like, oh my God, this person thinks I'm sexy.
Right.
So yeah. So if I drop names, which will probably come out in this, we'll just bleep them out. Yeah. We'll just do the little bleepity bleep. But I had a coworker who I really liked her a lot. Like, she was a really good friend of mine. Sheridan's blood's gonna be boiling by the end.
No, but she was one of your best friends.
She was one of my best friends. We became very close at the agency that we worked at together, and we were close for years. Always thought she was cute. She was. It's not even worth debating.
Yeah.
But beyond that, we just connected and like we were friends. And you know, like when you have someone that like there's like that underlying attraction to, but then you just keep it at friendship. I don't know. It's just like there's always that little like.
I think I'm going to jump in a couple times in this conversation.
Yeah, you do you.
And I think I'm going to say that I think it's very difficult for men and women to be best friends. There's always somebody that's thinking maybe and not even, men and women is me stereotyping women and women, men and whatever the situation is. But I think there's always that when you have, like when you're attracted to whoever you're attracted to the opposite sex and you become best friends with that person and you know they're attractive. There's always somebody that's thinking, right?
I would think.
Like I don't have any guy friends at this point in my life.
You never have it.
No, but unless they are husbands of my best friends that I happily love to sit and chat with, but I would not have a random man friend at this point in my life that you don't know, that you aren't friends with. Like that would make absolutely no sense in my own personal opinion.
Okay, so we're getting way off topic here, but I think that if you have this man friend that's super great, I like to think like the way that I've kind of like molded my what's the word I'm looking for? Like my sentiment towards this is that I'm super awesome. And if I'm being the best version of me that I can be for myself and for you, and you end up screwing off with somebody else, then like I think it's important to just remember that if you're putting everything out there and you're doing everything that you can to keep your partner happy and keep yourself happy and everything, then like maybe it just wasn't meant to be, I guess. You know what I mean? Like I like to think that I'm super awesome. And so are you.
And it's great that you have that mentality now, because probably when you went through what you went through, maybe you didn't feel that right away. But now you sit there and you're like, I'm great. Yeah. And Sheridan's lucky to have me. And that's how somebody should feel in a relationship. And vice versa. Like you are lucky to have me as your wife, and keep that confidence.
Extremely lucky.
No, but it's true. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so where the hell are we? So I was out on my own. I had a condo in downtown Halifax, like a nice little bachelor pad style thing. It was a small condo. It was right downtown. So like for the first time in my life too, I was like an arm's length from everything. Like there was no, you didn't even have to get a cab to go out for a drink ring. It was like if someone called me up and was like, yo, you want to go out for a drink? It's like, yeah, see you in 3 minutes. It was like right there. Like I was in the heart of the city. And this friend of mine who I worked with, we got really close. She was in a relationship, and her relationship, like for the most part, sucked.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she was in a relationship. It was just shitty all around. And we talked about that. Like that was kind of like one of our common things. Like I'd go over to her place for like wine and talk about this stuff, just as friends. So we'd like literally have our feet up on her back deck on her little patio thing and just like shoot the shit about life and stuff like that. Like there was never anything, never little footsies, nothing. It was always just quite kosher. Everything was all good. Then, are you trying to say something?
Well,
jump on in. Well, you keep throwing me off here. You want the story? Or what?
No, I was going to say. Oh, no,
it's a hot topic. I'm getting into it here.
Now I forget what I was going to say. Oh, I know what I was going to say. That was actually a compliment coming your way. So,
okay.
I was going to say, I know you, and the type of man that you are and the type of person that you are is that you're very, not complimentary. I'm not sure that's the right word, but you would be the type over there if she was in a shitty relationship to be saying, you're worth so much more. You're beautiful. You're wonderful.
100%.
Right. And then, of course, a woman sitting on the other end is falling in love with you as a friend, as a whatever, having you saying all these kind things to her and saying how great she is. And that's all I was going to say was that I'm sure, and you did that a lot. And maybe she did it back to you, like in terms of your relationship. I don't know. But like that's the type of guy you are.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize that you're doing it. Like, you didn't realize, I'm sure at the time, that you were just putting all these things in her head about how great she is. You were just being you. I could be wrong, but that's the way I see it anyway.
I see the beauty in everybody.
Right.
And I think you know that about me.
Yeah.
Like 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, or whatever, when you were talking about like rating people
Everyone's
on the side
a
of the
10.
road.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like I think all women are beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw that out there. So like that little rating joke thing, I just look around, I just see beautiful humans everywhere.
Yeah.
I just do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and if I see a broken person, I'll be the first one to throw my arm around them and be like, "You're amazing."
Right.
Like anyone would be lucky to have you. Like your energy and like, anyway, blah 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 blah. So anyway, we were super close. Like she was one of my best friends, and anyway, this night rolled around where we were going out for drinks, and I'm trying to remember who all was there. I just know that I was surrounded by women. There was like 3 or 4 girls, and
I know who
Tony
they were.
was there. Was Tony there?
Bleep.
It was Tony.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a few people with us, and we went where? Where the hell did I go?
You went to that place, and I do not know why
your
they
friend
have it.
works there.
No, it's not. I don't think it's called the same place anymore, but it has booths with curtains.
Yeah, booths
Who
with curtains. Yeah.
does that?
Yeah.
Mistake number 1. Who's going to have a restaurant where there's a booth with a straight up curtain?
Yeah.
But I forget what it's called. But anyway.
What's her name used to work there? The one that's a real estate
Yeah,
agent now.
Kaylee. I forget what it's called.
Sorry, Kaylee. I can't believe I forgot your name there. I'm on the spot here. I forget things. So anyway, we went to that place.
Yeah.
And I think back at the condo, we had a lot of drinks. Like I remember being pretty much trashed by the time we went to like the club, bar thing, whatever you want to call it. And we got into the booth, and I want to say like maybe we ordered some food and stuff like that. Like we were hanging out with friends and stuff. And drinking margaritas and everything. It's like one of those nights, like hanging with friends, drinks, laughing, everything. And then our friends started disappearing, like one by one, they just disappeared. And then it was just me and her left in this booth with a goddamn curtain beside us. And we were talking, and like, honestly, this is so long ago now that I like barely remember the like micro details, but I just know that we kissed each other that night. And I probably had my hands in places that I absolutely should not have had them. And somewhere in around there, I kind of like snapped out of it, and I was like, oh my God, like this is not what I should be doing. Like you're back in Ottawa at the time, and I'm like I'm in a relationship, and we weren't in one long.
Like, what's the quotation?
No,
for?
I just mean like oh my God, if I did that to you now, it would be worthy of a like I did. Like it was early in our relationship. Still kind of. I don't want to. I'm not justifying anything. It was just early in our relationship, and I was just still like trying to figure my life out. Okay?
So we started dating in March, April 4th, 2014, and I think that happened in June.
Yeah, so we're like,
April,
60
May,
days
June.
in kind of thing, and I shouldn't have been doing it. Absolutely. So I kind of clued in on our way out of the bar that night, and I mean that was one of those nights that like could have gone either way. It was like we could have walked back to the condo, or I could probably like get her together here,
gone
man.
home,
And I didn't.
Yeah. And
I walked home, and she walked home to her place, like separate directions, and that was that. The next morning, I don't really remember all the details, but I remember that we talked about it. I went and saw her, and we talked about it, and came to a mutual agreement that we were never going to talk about it again. It wasn't even worth opening the can of worms to you and breaking your heart over this. I was just going to hide this thing, and she was going to hide it, and we were going to be friends, and we were literally talking about it. It's like, yeah, when Sheridan gets down here, this is going to be amazing. Like, we're all going to be friends. Let's put her behind us. It was a drunken mistake, and that was that. And yeah, for the most part, that's most of the story. I mean, but I think like for me, it was a real learning experience. And then to kind of tie into that Vegas thing, it's just like when you drive a lot of tequila into you, your judgment gets thrown off, and you're around beautiful people, and the energy's good, and everyone's laughing and stuff, and people slip up. And I like to think that I'm. I would never say a perfect person, but I think that I carry myself with a lot of integrity, and I'm a pretty noble person, and I fucked up, and I'm sorry, and I've been carrying
It's been about 8 years.
No, but I mean, still to this day, I mean, it bothers me that I fell that hard that night.
Right.
And to the person that it happened with, I personally don't really pass any blame on her. She can feel in her heart the way that however she wants to feel about what she did that night, even though she was in a relationship, she can carry that her own. She was a good friend of mine. I loved and admired her a lot at the time, and we screwed up. And I've carried that for 8 years. And like, it's funny because I always would have been the type person to kind of slough it off and be like, man, like I would never do something like that. And then I did it. And I frigged up and replicated the exact same thing that broke my heart to you. And it was something that really, really sucked. And I have tears in my eyes right now, and I love you.
Aww.
And to this day, like almost a decade later, I'm still very, very sorry for doing that. I love you.
I think for me, and we've talked about this before, is that I didn't find out until much later. Right. And I found out because you guys decided you were going to keep it a secret and try and move on and forget about it, which I don't think, again, I don't want to speak on her behalf, but I don't think was as easy for her because I think she did really like you a lot. So she had difficulty, I think, again, trying to remember back. It was a really long time ago. But I remember feeling deceived. Right? Because you guys decided you were going to put on this thing where, well, let's just pretend we're all friends. And I was all excited to become her friend and stuff. And then, you know, I came down and I just felt sad that the truth wasn't said to me. But on the flip side, you said, because I said, well, why didn't you just tell me the truth? Like after everything we had gone through and realized, like, had you just told me the next morning, Sheridan, this happened last night. This is crazy, but you said that you were nervous that I would have never moved down because,
and I wasn't even there to give you a hug.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even, you know what I mean? Like if you were right beside me, if it was a weird dynamic because if you were in the same city, I think I like to think I would have been liable to take you out to dinner and tell you what happened.
Right.
But what am I going to tell you over the phone? You'd hang the phone up and that'd be the end of it. And Kai and Theo and Sage would never be out in the universe.
Well, I think too, like at that time, I was still very, like, right? I was still broken and all those things in a sense. I mean, we were dating and stuff, but I think I would have taken it extra.
For sure.
It would have been a lot harder for me given the circumstances of what had happened before. And I would have just immediately been like, well, fuck this guy. Like, I can't trust him either. Yeah. Right? But was it worse for me to find out so much later? And honestly, I found out, I'm pretty sure, when Kaya existed. Like when she was pregnant.
No. You found out.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did. You found out very quickly after moving down because I had an iPad at home that was getting messages.
This is how you know that Matt is so blissfully unaware. Like you never hide any of your stuff. Everything's popping up. Like you have nothing to hide, right? Yeah. But then I'm over on the other end playing detective because that's what I did.
You were going back.
That's what I did in my past conversation.
Yeah.
In my past relationship, I'd be trying to find the puzzle pieces to everything. So
and then when you found a piece, you were like, this man's a piece of shit. And you had just moved down. Your parents were still in the city.
Oh, it was that early?
Yeah, you found out right away as soon as you moved down. You hopped right on my iPad and started snooping around when I was at work one day. Yeah. You found out other details. Like you, I think through the text messages, I think you thought we just kissed.
Right.
When actually
there was a little bit
cocked a little feel that night.
Yeah.
And you found that out later on, which kind of like opened the wound back up. But yeah, like I think all this to say that, you know, if you're in a relationship with somebody who, I think that like serial cheating, like I think if you're literally engaging in a full blown other relationship, I think that's, I don't see how you could possibly forgive somebody for that. I just don't. You know, everyone watching this right now can feel their own way about that. But I think that if you're in a relationship and somebody has a slip up, like a slip up, I think that, you know, I think you need to play your own detective role and kind of look inside at your relationship and inside at yourself about how you feel about things. But just know that, like, I like to think that I'm a good man and I dropped the ball.
Well, I was also going to say that I truly believe that every relationship is different. So it just depends on how you feel in your relationship and whether, like, when that happened, I was so upset, but I didn't feel like I would lose all trust in you because I knew who you were. I knew your heart. I knew how you felt about me. I knew the type of man you were. And I knew how much it broke you. You told me you would go and throw up before you went to work. Like, you were so upset about it. You said I was
disappointed in myself.
Right. And it was very and that was obvious. So I think every circumstance and every situation and every relationship is so vastly different that it's hard to say and to compare. And I also don't think you know what you would do until you're put in that situation. right? Like, you don't know. Like, I firmly believe that I have my blinders on at all times. I don't even look at other people, and you think it's ridiculous, but it's true. I don't. I'm just so into our life and whatever. But if I were to do something somewhere down the line, something crazy, you don't know how you would react unless it happens. You don't know if you would lose all trust in me. You don't know if we could work through and build it back up. Like, you just don't know until the situation happens, I think, because every situation's so different. Some might sit there and say that it's much worse to have an emotional cheating relationship where you're having this connection with somebody and you don't have it with your partner. Some people might say sex is just sex and that's forgivable because it's not the same. Some people might say sex is so much worse because it's so intimate, and just an emotional relationship, you can work past that. I just don't think you know until you're in that yourself.
You definitely don't.
And then
You don't.
You need to decide whether it's worth fixing or not.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a huge thing, obviously. And I think you would realize at that point in your relationship whether that's something worth fixing or not. And it would kind of put you in a position where you have to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we chose to fix it.
And
here we are.
Yeah, and here we are.
No, but you're right. Not everybody's perfect. And that's something that we learned through it, myself included, because like you said, I put you up on a pedestal. Yeah. I'm like, there's no way Matt would ever do anything. It didn't even cross my mind. I'm like, there's just not a chance. And then it happened.
For me, it was like the perfect recipe for disaster.
Right.
It was a woman that I was attracted to, that I admired her a lot, that I saw her going through a lot of shitty things too. Like it was a.
Sorry, it's Grandpa Ingles.
Wow, you didn't hit focus?
I don't know. Oh, sorry.
Wow, Sheridan.
I know. Sorry.
Get it together.
Yeah.
And I think.
Oh my gosh, do I even know my password? I'm all like,
it's. What are you doing?
Done.
I think it's one of those things, like you said, you don't know how you're going to react to it, and as you navigate life, you practice things and you get good at things by practicing things. Like I use that analogy about buying a home. Like if we were on the market for buying another house right now, the questions that we would ask a real estate agent would be very different than they were 8 years ago, because I'd be buying my third house. You may go into it like slightly oblivious, but I mean, you learn things at this house that you would ask questions about.
Right.
Is it on a cul-de-sac? Is there a bus route? Is there,
right.
What is the heating like?
Different.
Can I see the legacy power bills? Like when you go out there and you're put in those circumstances like that, where you're drinking around people, that's not something that you do enough to get good at pushing somebody off you, or knowing how to like internalize your feelings and like.
Well,
and
you
deal
specifically too. Again, it's all circumstantial, and for you specifically, this was your very first time being out by yourself, being single, going out and partying all the time.
Yeah.
So that's basically just furthering your point of what you just said.
Yeah. Sheridan, why are you on your phone?
Sorry, it's because I'm just trying to see.
She's on her phone here, people, in the middle of a podcast episode.
No,
what are you doing?
I just have one question. How much time have we been talking for?
I don't know. Just keep going.
Okay. Somebody wrote here how to get your husband to couples therapy. And I think that kind of ties in perfectly to what we were just saying. And all I did want to say about that was that we are in therapy, sort of. We have only done a couple sessions. We need to book our other one with our
couples therapy.
No, but therapy in general, for our son. And it's kind of like family therapy, because we end up talking a lot just about us and our lives and how we are. Yeah. And I think it's amazing. And I will say, for me personally, when I wanted to do it, you weren't overly eager about it. You weren't opposed to it, but you didn't really care. You weren't really thinking about it, whereas it was on my mind the whole time. Mm-hmm. And then finally, when we had that first sit down and we ended up speaking to him and we got off the phone or the laptop, the Zoom call, you really felt wonderful after that.
Yeah.
And I kind of forced you into it a little bit, because I don't think you would have been the one to set up the therapist appointment.
No, definitely not.
But afterwards, it was like, wow, that was so nice.
Well, and I've done a lot of therapy in my life.
Right.
Not in any recent times, but I mean, as a child growing up, I mean, I saw shouts out Mr. Manning, phenomenal therapist. I always get psychologists and the other one mixed up. Psychologists and what? Psychiatrist. I always get the two of them mixed up. But I had done it a lot before, so I understand the value in like having that kind of third party, like somebody that's outside the box that does not know you. They don't have any ulterior motives or anything like that. Like to sit down and open up the worms with them and go through it all. Like it's great.
I really wish therapy was free.
Yeah, I know.
Like I'm not a controversial person, but it drives me bananas that you break your arm and you can go to the hospital and get it fixed for free, but your heart is broken or there's something going, and you can't, and you have to, like our insurance didn't even cover that first assessment with Theodore. I thought it would.
We paid almost $400 to sit down for like 80 minutes or something.
And not everybody has that.
God, no.
And then it's a lot of, even for us, I was like, this is insane.
That's
and
groceries
then
for 2 weeks.
And then on top of that, because I think there is a way, I don't exactly know, but that you can get in and do a therapist for free through something, whatever it is in Nova Scotia. But the wait list is like a year long.
Yeah,
and I just think I don't know how the heck they could fix that, but they need to fix that because everybody deserves to have a therapist and people to talk to and for it to be free.
Well, yeah. And this Bell Let's Talk shit that lasts 24 hours and people forget about it. It's like people need to talk 365 days a year.
Right.
And honestly, like maybe this is off topic, but like seriously though, like I think that with Sheridan and I in this podcast, like most of the people watching this right now probably know you very well, at least like your internet persona. Like I think if there's someone out there,
I keep it real on internet.
No, but what I'm saying is like if there's somebody out there that needs help, or like has a broken heart or like an abusive relationship or anything, children that need help or anything, like I think you always have an open line of communication.
Yes,
so I'm just throwing that out there. Like you can always message Sheridan and 99.9% of the time you'll get back to people. And if they need someone to talk to, like, hey, we're here. Yeah. Like we love talking.
And if I don't happen to message you back, it's probably because I didn't see it. Please message me 1,000 times for me to see it because it gets so messy in there. It's really hard. Yeah. Well, this was kind of an emotional episode. It was emotional. Whew.
I can lighten the mood with this one. So when I dropped the kids off this morning, I dropped Sage off last, and what did I do? I put like my songs on, but it was like randomized, and a song. Oh my God, it's one of my favorite songs. I forget the name of it, but it's a Joe.
It's your favorite song.
I'm so bad with names, but I love this song. It's a 6-minute song of Joe Budden talking about his broken heart on a song.
Okay.
And it's such a good song. Here, I gotta get what is the name of
Please
this
don't
song?
play it. Matt does I'm not gonna play it.
No, I just want to say the name of it. You people should look it up. Okay. It's called Love for You by Joe Budden.
Okay.
And anyway, that song came on, and didn't I burst out laughing at myself? I was like, I knew we were going to record one day, and I was like, the fact that Joe Budden was in your DMs one day.
Okay, so
oh my God! And then Sheridan's mom goes, Joe Biden messaged you,
and I didn't even know who that was. I'm like, who is that? Yeah. So this was a long time ago at Acadia when I started doing my Twitter or whatever, and I was just such an idiot, and I would just tweet everyone, and I tweeted Joe Budden so many times. I'm like, hey, I don't even remember what I'd say, but I remember he wrote me back one time, and I was like, and then he did it like 3 times, and then he actually wrote something on his own Twitter that said, oh my gosh, what was it? He said something like, this white girl thinks that it was so.
What? I never heard this.
You never heard that part?
What did he say?
But it wasn't insulting. Like he said something like, I don't even know what he said, but I was like, wow.
Oh my God, think about it. What was it?
I know. Hopefully I can come up with it and we can I just put it in as a blooper later.
If we get Pat Stay to tag him, he'll see this right now.
Yeah. Anyway,
Pat
he would remember.
No, Pat and Joe know each other, right? But he'd remember a face like that.
Yeah. But it was very, very funny because then I remember I was all excited and I said to Jesse, I was like, Joe Budden tweeted me, and he's like, oh my gosh.
I could just picture your mom upset.
And then I called my mom and I was like, Mom, Joe Budden just tweeted me or whatever. And she goes, Joe Biden? And I didn't even know who Joe Biden was.
Okay, I just want to timestamp this. I don't know exactly when it was, but I know that he was the vice president of the United States of America, and you didn't even know who this man was.
And that is a very Sheridan comment, isn't it? I had no sweet clue.
Yeah.
And she thought it was so cool that it was him. She's like, Joe Biden? I'm like, who the fuck is that?
Get Obama on the line.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's a very funny story. Good old Joe Biden. And did you know that Romeo used to follow me on Instagram? I
did know. He put a little diamond on your shit one day when we were together, I think. Oh, I was so butthurt. I was like...
And then I started posting pictures of you, and I got the unfollow real quick.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
And unfollow.
Who's this guy? Unfollow.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, I love you, babe.
I love you too.
I'm glad we worked that out.
Obviously, and I'm glad you just.
I would have ended up with Diddy in New York. Right?
And like you said, people that are watching this, everybody has a different opinion about everything, really, and that's what makes us all human, and what makes the world go around, and it's a beautiful thing. And maybe not everybody's going to agree with the fact that we stayed together and we made it work, and maybe other people it's going to resonate with them, and who knows? And that's cool. But we chose as a relationship as like a unit to work past it and came out stronger. And I'm not advertising for people to go do things that are not to be done, but just to say and like wrap it up by saying that, everybody's human, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
Just be your best version of you. And
I just realized we both have amazing mugs today. Mine's boobies and yours is best dad. So cheers to that, man.
Kai got me this mug.
Love ya.
Love you, babe.
It's all cold and gross.
All right, that was episode 3. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Love yous, and we'll catch you next
on the
week.
flip side, yeah.
Yeah, our episodes should like all of them up to this point aren't online now.
Yeah.
Because we've been waiting on our logo animation.
Right.
And it's supposed to come in tonight, and then we can implement the logo animation, and everything should be going up tomorrow. And you guys should see this episode in probably 2
Don't pay
weeks.
attention to the on. Pay attention to this stuff.
All right, love you guys.
Bye.
Peace.
It's the Two Gems Podcast.